There's been quite a lot of talk about the Wallabies sector pairing. Obviously, they did pretty well against the British and Irish Lions. They're very excited about them. What do you make of that pairing?
Yeah, I think they're obviously two great athletes. First of all, I think they've, in the Lions series, they've showed what they can do. I think both of them have got great skill sets. But for us, I think we've put a lot of hard work in over these last 3 weeks. And for us, it's about going out there and executing what we've been training, and looking forward to the challenge.
Jerry, a lot's been made also of the Wallabies attack, especially in that second test where they unlocked the lines like that, and then the third test, obviously. Just what have you guys picked up from there, and what are the dangers that you have to look out for?
Well, we played them last year when Joe Schmidt came in, and we were aware of, from when he worked in Ireland and the work he'd done with New Zealand, we were aware of his kind of philosophy and the way he plays, and you could see a lot of that, but you could just see it developing from last year into this year, and I think that they play some very direct rugby with an awful lot of detail, and the breakdown is a massive area of their game.
Just following on from that, from your time in Ireland, working with Joe Schmidt, just his philosophy on the game and what you're seeing in the Wallabies, you just expand on that?
I think if you look at it from a timeline, when they were at the last World Cup, they looked a little bit rudderless, and when Joe came in, he's a brilliant coach. His level of detail that he brings is phenomenal, and I saw the impact that he had in Ireland by making players play much higher than their perceived capacity, and I think he's come in and he's got a lot of he's got Australia firing again now.
Were you not surprised when they sort of stepped up against the British and Irish Lions?
I wasn't surprised because I knew they were better than they showed in the first test, and I think they were a lot more confrontational. They're obviously massively disappointed to lose the second test, but they were right in the mix, and I think that the narrative that's out there now is that Australian rugby is on the up, and they'll be looking to target us and try and keep building that.
Jerry, just going back to you mentioned the Wallabies breakdown. Obviously, they're a good attacking side when they get front football. And that. Would you say that's the key to maybe stopping that attack is the breakdown and stopping them from getting quick balls? Hence, playing 2 number 6s.
Yeah, you could definitely say that, because I think for most teams in attack, getting quick ball is going to be the big thing for them. I think when you look at how meticulously Joe Schmidt plans his plays, and whilst they didn't show a huge amount in 1 to 3 phases, you could see that the players were really aligned to a plan that might stretch 5-6 phases, which to retain the ball and be in the right place, you have to be really detailed with your breakdown. I think that we look at that, there are 2 players in instantly all the time.
Jerry, sort of the most key things to them improving in that series against the Lions also had to do with the introduction of Tupo, Will Skelton, Valentini, and moving Tom Hooper to blindside, so obviously physical threats. When you plan for that defensively, is it specific to that, or is it just all part of the system?
Well, our system won't change much, but what you do is you'll emphasise certain areas a little bit more, and I think when you bring in Tupu, when you bring in Valentini, and you bring in Skelton, they're massive ball carriers, and they can give you huge momentum, which then feeds into the breakdown narrative, and they get quicker balls. So that was obviously a big part of it, and I suppose that they also give them a little bit more of a confrontational edge outside of play.
Jerry, I know that in the incoming series, in that first test against the Italians, you guys weren't too happy with the defensive effort. You guys cleaned it up really nicely in that second test, and then against Georgia, they got off to a pretty good start. A couple of more trials against Italy and Georgia. So has that been a specific focus these last few weeks, building up to the Rugby Championship now, on shoring up a bit of that?
Yeah, I think we weren't. None of us were pleased with how we performed in Italy 1, and we conceded a maul try in that game. We also conceded a maul try against Georgia. So that's something that teams pick up and they look to go after. So we've invested a lot of time into our maul defence, but I think there's always going to be something for you to work on, and I think we conceded 40 points across the 4 games if you include the Babas as well. But it was a little bit like this. We started well against the Babas, really poor against Italy 1, good against Italy 2, and then kind of a little bit in between with Georgia. So there's definitely a lot of scope for us to improve, and on the back of the level of intensity that the Australians have been playing, you know, we've tried to replicate that with our training.
Jesse, following up on what you just said, obviously you guys weren't happy with your performances in those big tests. Rassi was saying you worked hard at the preparation camps. Do you feel those issues were addressed and you are ready for this Rugby Championship?
Absolutely. I think we obviously drive extremely high standards in this environment. I think it's extremely competitive with the level of players and in each position. I think we push each other hard in training, and I think we've obviously had the points that Jerry's spoken about, and they've obviously been things we've worked on in these last couple of weeks, mixed with a bit of conditioning, or actually a lot of conditioning. So yeah, I think I'm definitely talking for myself here, and I think the other guys will say the same thing. But I such a very confident in the level of preparation that we've put in, and feel that I'm confident going into the weekend, and very excited as well.
Jesse, one thing that's come up from pundits around the world, I suppose, saying, asking if you guys are battle hardened enough from those 3 tests compared to the intensity that the Wallabies had. Just your thoughts on that?
So we'll have to see Saturday. I believe we've worked hard. I think everyone's obviously got their opinions on battle hardened and not, but I think it's a way you pitch up every day to training, the way you pitch up with the mindset to whatever you approach throughout your week. And I think for us, again, it's a good opportunity for us to represent South Africa, and I don't think anyone takes it lightly in this environment. So yeah, very excited for the challenge, and confident that we'll be up for it.
And just partnering with Andre as opposed to Luke's, how's that different for you guys as a combination?
Yeah, I think it comes back to what I said now, is that there's so much competition in each position. I think Andre was extremely good in all the test matches he played, and Dugas has shown over the years what an asset he is for this team. So very excited to play with Andre. I've played with him many times, actually quite a bit against Australia. So excited for him to show, and also excited to get another opportunity to play again. I think Kanan's also involved, so very excited to see what he can do when he comes on. But I think it's a great opportunity for a lot of guys.
Jerry, just looking at the championship as a whole, Rassi was talking yesterday about how difficult it is to win back-to-back. I mean, obviously the All Blacks are always up there, Australia on the rise. How do you see the championship in general? How competitive do you think it'll be?
I think it's a phenomenal competition, because you look back on last year, and you know, I think Argentina were like the dark horses that came out of nowhere and shocked New Zealand, and they beat us as well. So I think there's no weak team in the championship. That is it. And I suppose last year, if I was to look at it objectively now, the fact that Joe Schmidt had only just taken over after the World Cup meant that the Wallabies probably started slowly. And we benefited from that because we played them early in the championship. I don't think that's going to be the case now. So, but we want to play the best teams when they're at their best. You don't want to be, with all due respect to Georgia and the Barbarians, we want to be playing the best teams in the world, because that's how you get better.
Jesse, sorry, you have touched on it, but maybe just to elaborate a bit more. You've obviously played most of your career with Damien inside of you. Andre, you have played a fair amount with him. They would seem like very similar, sort of like-for-like players, but are there subtle differences to what Andre brings to the party?
I obviously think I think it's no secret that Andre's ball carry. I mean, he's devastating with ball in hand. I think he's also got a great understanding about the game, like Damien has as well. And I think the two of them, it's been so great to see how closely they work with each other to try and better each other's games. And I think that's exactly what we're all about as a unit over here. How the centres help each other to grow. We've actually buddied up, and it's constant feedback from the guy in your same position to see where you can get better, where you can sharpen the other guy's game, and how he can sharpen your game. So I think Andre is definitely devastating with ball in hand, and it's a great guy for us to have to get the team going forward, and like we mentioned earlier, to get that attack on the front foot and get us that quick ball. So I think that's probably one of his big standouts where he's really good.
Guys, before we go to some, vlog is off.